Testing.
Testing.
It kind of doesn't... It kind of can't go above that little 6, really. So I've just got to...
Right. So if it goes above the 6, that's an issue.
It's not an issue, it's just a bit loud.
Right, okay.
I can always...
And what will be the purpose of this audio?
Well, I'm going to put it on Pornhub.
Of course. Yeah.
2 grown-ass
Happens to the
adults
best of
talking
us.
about Doctor Strange. So what did... before we talk about Doctor Strange, what did you think of Moon Knight?
Really enjoyed the first couple of episodes, and then I think past...
Dickhead.
Sorry. I think past episode 2 I started to think, well, why is it not connected to the wider MCU as a whole? And that started to be a bit of an issue for me. But then by the end of episode 4 I thought, oh, fuck it.
It's a silly...
We're along for the ride, so...
Yeah.
I wouldn't have written it in the same kind of structure as they did.
Yeah.
Like the reveal of Tawera at the end of episode 4 was great, but then the end of episode 5 should have revealed they should have released Amit. So it just the last episode, just as good as it was,
too much happened in it.
Yeah, too much happened in it for the amount of time that they had. So
yeah, which is a shame, really, because like the rest of it was really good.
Mm. Yeah, for definite.
And I hope that, like, with Doctor Strange coming out, it means that they're setting up the Midnight Suns. I know that probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you, but...
No, well, I mean, I don't really know anything about the comics, so I come into the MCUs just as a film fan, so...
Yeah.
I think that's good in a way, because I don't ever have any expectations for what should happen or what... or any preconceived biases about who these characters are, so... I think that's the thing about being a comic book nerd, where it's like, as good as Secret Wars is, it's just too high of an expectation. I mean, the Infinity War comic, or it's called Infinity Gauntlet, that comic is like so good, and the film just tops it. But I'm worried that Secret Wars is just not going to be as great a film as the comic is, because of Doctor Strange and kind of how they handled the multiverse, where it's really quite confusing. Well, I don't know that it's confusing through Doctor Strange. Loki,
yeah,
that concerned me, and then obviously Spider-Man: No Way Home, and then Morbius.
Oh, a new Marvel legend has arrived.
Okay. Yeah.
Morbius was a fantastic film. So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, what did you think about that as a whole? Because we saw it twice. Tonight we saw it for the second time, and I think we can both kind of agree that the second time watching it, we both enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, for definite. I think when you talk about something like Doctor Strange, you've got to think about how it was marketed and what the expectations were going into it, and leaks and things that had come out about it way back when. So, seeing it yesterday for the first time, didn't love it as much as I wanted to, but I still enjoyed it. Seeing it again tonight, knowing exactly what was going to happen, I just enjoyed it for exactly what it was. And I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more than I did yesterday. So,
exactly. Would you recommend, like, that people would go and watch it a second time? If they kind of didn't enjoy it as much the first time, or didn't think, it was as good as it could be?
No, I think if you didn't enjoy it, then you didn't enjoy it. And I couldn't tell you to go back and see it again if you genuinely didn't enjoy it. But I think if you were like me and weren't disappointed, but a little bit underwhelmed because your expectations were so high, I would say go again, because you're going to enjoy it a lot more the second time, knowing exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And knowing exactly who shows up and who doesn't. Yeah.
And kind of on that topic,
we have very different opinions about like the cameos in this film, or like the lack thereof. Because I feel like if you're going to do a multiverse story, there should at least be a couple. And it's Sam Raimi, and they just did Spider-Man No Way Home.
It doesn't. I don't know that it matters. I think that cameos, for the sake of cameos, cameos don't add anything to the story. And when you think about it, the Illuminati in this film do nothing. They do nothing other than show up so that we can. I mean, spoilers. That so we can. Kevin Feige finally addressing the Inhumans in film form. Captain Carter, who her shield's on the poster, so
and gets decapitated.
No,
how do I do it?
She doesn't get decapitated. The shield goes through her stomach.
Yeah,
so she's split in half.
Yeah.
So poor Hayley Atwell. She deserves.
She does deserve a lot more. I hope they do a live action Captain Carter film. But there were, about like all the leaks and stuff, there was obviously leaks can sort of spoil a film. Like with No Way Home, it kind of happened that everyone knew that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were going to be in it. But were you at all like disappointed by like Hayley Atwell or Patrick Stewart or Lashana Lynch? Is that her name?
Yeah, Lashana Lynch.
Were you at all disappointed in like their roles in the film or like their characters?
Well, here's the thing. I think Lashana Lynch, especially, I think it was an interesting choice by Marvel to kill off Maria in WandaVision off screen.
Mm.
So whether I believe, because even so, I think to kill off such a vital character from one of their most successful films, whether you love Captain Marvel or hate it, it's one of the most successful things they've ever released.
Yeah.
To kill off one of the most important characters, one of the most influential characters, one of the most significant characters from that film off screen in a Disney Plus show was an interesting decision, and I don't know that I would have necessarily made that decision had I been in the writer's room at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great to see her again, for definite. But I have an issue with how she dies.
Yeah, a building, or no, not even a building, it's a little stone statue.
Yeah, it's a stone statue just crushes her.
Thanos punched Captain Marvel.
Square in the jaw.
Surely that's gotta be a bit more impactful than...
Yeah, than being... Like, it raises... And I'm sure it's probably one of those things where they weren't thinking about it and they didn't really care that much, but I think Sam Raimi, of all people, given his experience with Spider-Man 3, should know that the fans are ravenous for this content, and the fans that really know, all of the fans that know the film's inside out, are going to be bothered by things like, well, why was Maria Rambeau, Captain Marvel, crushed by a stone pillar?
Yeah.
That's not great. Because does that mean Carol Danvers can be crushed by a stone pillar? Because that means she's pretty easy to kill.
Yeah. After being called, like, the strongest hero in the Marvel Universe since Captain Marvel came out.
Yeah.
Which is bonkers.
So, I mean, I guess even Black Widow can, with her kicking powers, I guess she was no match for that big fall.
Oh, God. What did you think about, like, the start of the plot as well? Because I really like this film up until kind of, like, the halfway point, up until, like, the Illuminati bit. Like, how it starts with Doctor Strange, or, like, Defender Strange, and America Chavez kind of going to the Book of Ashanti. What did you kind of think about that opening and how they introduced America Chavez?
Well, I did like it. This film grabs you
by the balls.
It grabs you straight away and doesn't it's relentless in terms of how much information they need to give you and just how much there is going on in this film. It can't be stressed. There is so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would say it's like Endgame level plot with an hour less runtime, and I think that's part of an issue for me, is it feels just 15 minutes too short.
Yeah.
It just feels like there's just something missing. But, you know...
Just off the top of your head, what would you add? What would you have added? Any extra scenes?
I would have added more of Wanda. I would have added more... Just... She explains a lot in the film, and obviously it's a continuation of WandaVision, so it's not like she needs to spend a whole hour just waxing poetic about how much she loves her children, but it felt like this is a woman who has lost all sense of reason,
mm-hmm.
and that's not the same character that we saw at the end of WandaVision at all. So it felt like there was just this major shift in her character, and obviously it's, you know, in the time between the end of WandaVision and the beginning of Multiverse of Madness, she's had all of this time to just literally on her own with the Darkhold.
I mean, like, it's been in the universe. It's been like,
I think it's a year, isn't it?
A year and a half at least, because it's like, I think WandaVision takes place like 3 weeks after Endgame, and the current timeline is now in like middle of 2024 or like start of 2024 or something,
right?
Or maybe even 2025, because
I think
Spider-Man No Way Home and Hawkeye, they ended at Christmas.
I watched a video last night that said this is beginning of 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 2025. So she's had like 2 years with the Darkhold. There's a lot of horror stuff in this as well. That well, you were saying yesterday that it's not really horror, is it?
No, it's not. I think that's part of the thing with Sam Raimi, and it's because he's a fantastic director, and he has directed incredible horror films. But even so, say like Spider-Man 2 in particular, you can't call that a horror film, but there are significant horror elements to it.
Yeah.
In terms of what Sam Raimi brings in terms of the conventions of the horror genre, it is an incredible feat of what he's been able to do in terms of superhero films, whether you're talking about Doctor Strange or any of the Spider-Man films, or Darkman. But it's this, I can't call it a horror film, but there are sequences where I think, whoa, if that was in a horror film, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But the overall tone of it, it's still very much, it's very much your action adventure Marvel film, but it's not a horror film. There are some horror sequences, but it's not horror.
Again, like,
or maybe I've just got a really high tolerance for horror, and the only things that scare me are like
Pennywise and like,
well, even that
maybe.
But it's yeah, I guess I've just got a really high tolerance for it. I'm afraid of no ghosts.
And I was saying this on the way back. At the start of the film, you can see, as Doctor Strange is waking up from his nightmare, you can see a laptop on his bed. What kind of porn do you think he was watching?
Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was just looking at pictures of Christine.
Bless him.
Yeah. Okay, so the actual plot, because we need to try and stay somewhat on topic.
Yeah.
It is that there is a lot going on in this film, and they do have to establish a lot very quickly, and I think they do it very well. The only parts of in terms of the actual screenwriting, the actual screenplay that I have issues with is some of the dialogue, and especially at the end with Wanda, but we'll get into that later. The actual plot, so it begins, we've got America and Defender Strange running through, I don't know what the world is, whatever that world is called.
Some bollocks universe 69.
Some universe, trying to get the Book of Vishanti. Defender Strange betrays America, tries to steal her powers, and is eventually killed by the ribbon demon that is chasing them. And America, you see it in the trailer, she is held up by the ribbon demon.
And she screams.
She screams and opens up one of her portals and heads off into Earth 616, where she meets R. Strange and R. Wong on the day of Christine's wedding. And
then there's this giant eyeball creature, like the Eye of Cthulhu from Terraria. It just attacks New York, and everyone...
Well, it's not attacking New York, it's attacking America.
Yeah, it's attacking America, but everyone at Christine's wedding is looking out the window like, hey, would you look at that? Because they would.
Yeah.
All of the shit that's happened in the MCU, a giant space god came and said that he's going to kill Earth at some point. That was like 6 months ago in the MCU timeline.
I'd say not... Well, when is Eternal set? It's probably... Wouldn't be at the same time.
I think it's like around... God, I don't know. Do you want to look it up?
No.
But yes, after that, Doctor Strange goes to Wanda because he's like, "Hey, what have you been doing? Let's catch up."
Mm.
And then says some Marvel dialogue about Marvel Funny Man dialogue about putting her back on a lunchbox, and then she outs herself that she is actually the one that's been sending these monsters after America because she wants her powers.
Mm. Which, like, I like that dialogue. Just it's simple. It's not exactly an original idea to have dialogue where a character accidentally reveals that they know who. Wanda says, "Why don't you bring America here?" Before Doctor Strange, she goes, "Oh, you didn't tell me her name, did you?"
It's very Family Guy.
It's there's a lot of things. There's a lot of dialogue in this where you look at it and go, "Yeah, this was written by one of the guys from Rick and Morty." There's so much where you just think, "Yeah, no, absolutely, of course, it makes so much sense. I get it." So following on from that, we've got it's really good at establishing here are where the characters are, and I think that that's something that's always really good about Marvel is any time that there is a lot of locations in a film or characters are going to be, you're going to have 5 different characters, all of whom are in different countries. It's really good at establishing, well, Doctor Strange in this instance is saying America and Wong currently are in Kamatage, so they're in Nepal. Wanda, I'm here with you. We don't know where that is, but let's say she's somewhere in Europe.
Yeah. British?
No.
Oh, no, we're not in Europe anymore.
Because my guess was that she was in Canada at the end of WandaVision.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was
I just don't think they ever...
What I chose to believe.
They ever said, really.
No, I don't think it is ever said. Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But what point were we up to?
So it just in terms of establishing where the characters are.
After kind of Wanda figures out that Strange knows that she's after America, they kind of go and defend Kamatage. Why would they keep America there? If they know Wanda's coming, why don't they just like, hey kid, why don't you just...
I think that's
leave?
the kind of thing where they're not immediately thinking, because I think that they know that Wanda is coming to Kamatage regardless. They can say to Wanda, she's not here. Is she going to believe them?
No, probably not.
Probably not. But even so, the only thing that's going to happen is if they remove America from Kamatage and they tell Wanda, "Oh no, she's not here. She's just gonna blow the place up anyway."
Literally, yeah.
She's not gonna give two fucks that they've moved her. She's just gonna be like, "Well, you tell me where she's gone."
Something I'm slightly confused about is Wanda goes and kills everybody in Kamatage.
Well, not everybody,
but the bull, the
Rintra.
She kills him, and you see.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't kill him.
What happened? Did I miss something?
Yeah.
Nice.
She doesn't kill him.
So yeah, after that attack on Kamatage, there's like the really great like bit where she's reaching through that glass portal.
Well, actually, I just want to go back a minute because the bit where she arrives at Kamatage has my favourite line of hers throughout. Well, one of my favourite lines of Wanda's throughout the entire film. It's when she's monologuing to, which will be her Oscar clip, and it will be the thing that. I'm not saying that Elizabeth Olsen will be Oscar nominated for this, but when they're campaigning her for this, because they will campaign her for this, because she is, I would say she is that good in it. It's when she's monologuing about.
Is that when they're in the air?
And they're in the air, and she's saying to Strange, "I have been perfectly reasonable up until this point, and even with what's about to happen right now, just know I am still being reasonable."
Yeah.
It is.
That is a fantastic scene.
Fantastic scene.
Also, the camera kind of goes out of focus at one point in that thing, and I only noticed it today, but it goes like really out of focus.
Oh, I don't know.
If anyone's listening, go and see it again, and you will be able to tell that point where the camera just like it's a shot of Wanda, it goes out of focus. Anyway, yes. What else were you saying about Wanda?
Well, it was just that
that
bit in particular I just wanted to mention because it is so good. It's definitely one of my favourite parts of the whole thing. But yeah, so then there's the attack on Kamatage, which is beautiful to look at. And I just like how, so obviously all of the sorcerers are there defending Kamatage, and the way that Wanda gets into it is she gets into the mind of one random sorcerer, convinces him to run away, and that's how she gets in. I just thought that was a really inventive way.
Yeah. Instead of just using brute force.
Yeah, instead of using brute force, she's actually using her powers interestingly in order to get what she wants, and she's using her power against their powers, and working in conjunction. And I just think that just juxtaposition of how their powers work is really interesting, because as far as we're aware in terms of the film, and I don't look at it as the films, I don't look at it as like the comics. There's the films and there's the comics, and they are two completely separate entities. We don't know in this film world that Doctor Strange can get inside people's heads in the same way that Wanda can. So I just thought that was a really interesting thing to say. Wanda can do this and they can't.
Yeah. But then after that attack on Kamatage, America gets scared and she opens the portal again, and they kind of go through all of these different universes. One is where they're all paint. There's another where it's like animated. They've got the dinosaur universe. There's the same thing happened in What If with the battle between Uatu and Ultron, where there's a brief second where you can see Mustafar.
Is it 100% Mustafar?
I know in What If it definitely was, because you can see like a clip. Just in my headcanon it is, but it might not be. It might just be a random lava planet.
Okay. No, see, yeah. In my mind it's not, just because I think if it was, they would do more to establish that it is, rather than being like, here you go. But then again, Marvel can do stuff all the time and not say. I mean, there's still that alleged James Gunn is saying that there's an Easter egg in Guardians of the Galaxy that no one has clocked onto
I
yet.
don't think that's real.
Well, I don't know.
It could be, but Eric Voss, he's like the king of breakdowns, and he hasn't found it yet.
Maybe it's so hidden that only James Gunn knows what it is.
It's probably just like an inside joke or something if it is real.
Yeah. But I choose to believe that it's real, and that it will never be found.
But, yes, after that, what happens after that? They go into that universe where that Doctor Strange is dead.
Earth 838.
Yes. Also, it gets kind of revealed that the comic universe has just kind of been erased, or like, it's not been erased, but it's just like a separate continuity than the cinematic one. Which makes sense in the case that, like, in Secret Wars, there's only 2 universes left, neither of which being the MCU universe. So it makes sense that they kind of just make it Earth 616. But then that kind of makes me wonder what the ultimate universe is going to be.
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay.
But then again, it's like I said, the comics are one thing and the films are another.
Yeah.
They can do whatever the fuck they want in the films. They're not. They're not beholden to the comics. It's not a marriage. It's more distant cousins.
And Mordo. What about Mordo? Because there's the...
That's something that I thought was missing.
And what happens to him at the end?
So, the whole thing with Mordo, I thought... And I think I remember watching like a plot leak video of this a couple months ago. And it said that the opening scene was going to be Mordo... Because obviously, the last time we saw Mordo was at the end of Doctor Strange. The first Doctor Strange. In the post-credit scene with him and Benjamin Bratt, and he takes away Benjamin Bratt's powers that he's taken from the Dark Dimension, and says, "I see what's wrong with the world. Too many sorcerers." So, you know, the last time we saw him, he wanted to destroy all the sorcerers, and in terms of Doctor Strange is set in 2016. It's now 2025. It's taken 9 years, and he's not doing very good.
No, he's not really
doing anything to get rid of the sorcerers. So, in my mind, what was going to happen, and I really like the idea of it, was maybe not the opening scene, but it was going to happen. Wanda was going to kill Mordo.
Yeah. Because it would make sense.
Mordo was going to go for Wanda because, not that she's a sorcerer, but she is a witch. Or, you know, she has magic. And he was going to try and kill Wanda, which obviously, dick move, never gonna happen. But that I just thought would be a great idea. Did he do it? No. Mordo doesn't appear until the midpoint, and he's in it for 5 minutes.
And he kind of drugs Doctor Strange and America after being like, "Oh, you're my best mate in this universe," or "You're my brother in this universe." I'm not sure if that's meant to be like literal.
Well, it's just a red herring. It's all he's doing is making sure that he can gain Doctor Strange's trust so that he can get him inside and then do the old "aha, I am actually not your friend."
Yes, and then takes him to the Illuminati, which is again it's the Illuminati serves no purpose for the story. But it is like the only cameos in the film that we get. And that being like, what do you think of the lineup? Let's just go by like character by character.
Okay, so we'll go character by character and how they're introduced. So first up, Hayley Atwell as Captain Carter. Love Hayley Atwell. Wish she was in more stuff. Love her as Peggy. Loved her as Captain Carter. I've got no complaints. The only complaint I have is that she's killed.
Yeah.
because I would love to see Hayley Atwell do an actual live action Captain Carter show. I think that would be really cool. Whether it happens now or not, probably not. But
hopefully,
yeah.
I mean, they've set up a story with her in What If, and whether that's like the same version, it's probably not.
Well, my guess is that she's going to be the main character of What If Season 2.
Yeah, I hope so, because...
And she'll be the through line rather than the Watcher being the through line.
Yeah. Hopefully. And, right, the next character, who's the next one that's introduced? It's
Black Bolt.
Black Bolt. Nothing really to say on him. There's that terrible Inhumans show that no one watched, and played by the same actor.
Yeah, I never watched the Inhumans. I don't care to find out about it. All I've heard is that it's bad, and Kevin Feige really doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in Kevin we trust. So
yeah, so that's pretty much all you need to know about Black Bolt. He's an Inhuman, and he lives on the moon. And
although it is revealed that he was the one that killed this universe's Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange in the 838 universe, because they also faced Thanos, but obviously the Illuminati were able to kill Thanos, using the Book of Vishanti. However, they found the Book of Vishanti. Was it that they? No,
found... they used the Darkhold.
Oh yeah,
and Doctor Strange caused an incursion, which is like the collapse of a universe.
Yeah, so he caused an incursion by using the Darkhold because he was trying to find a solution to Thanos.
Yes.
In the multiverse, where even though the Illuminati were able to find the Book of Vishanti, which they used to kill Thanos. So,
yes,
yeah, well done.
Congratulations, you
congratulations. Yes, but my point was, it's revealed that Black Bolt was the one that had to kill Doctor Strange in that universe. So there you go.
Incinerate.
And that was one thing that I found really bizarre when they'd said, so in this universe, Doctor Strange is dead, and they go to, oh god, what's it bloody called? You know,
the place he lives.
Yeah.
Fuck. It's not Kamatage.
No, it's
the Sanctum Sanctorum.
That's it, Sanctum Sanctorum. When they go to the Sanctum, and there's the big statue of obviously dead Strange 838. And it says that he was Earth's mightiest hero because he was the one that killed Thanos.
I mean, he very well might have been.
Well, he very well might have been the one that killed Thanos. We don't see it. And then the Illuminati say, well, actually, the Earth needs heroes, so we couldn't have the people of Earth think that Doctor Strange was evil all along. And that just gave me, well, but what if Superman decided to kill everybody? Energy. And it was just a bit like, what? That doesn't make that. It's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of it being Doctor Strange is actually the most critical threat to the multiverse. I think that is probably very true. Especially by what he is, the actions he's prepared to take during the climax.
Yeah. He kind of swears off the Darkhold for the entire film, and then at the very end he does a 180 and he's like, I'm going to use it because this is the only choice that I have.
Mm. But yeah, other Illuminati members. Then we get Lashana Lynch as Captain Marvel, and then John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, which
is, dare I say, fantastic. Which is, fans have wanted that for so long. And it's just so nice to have that finally have happened.
Yeah, it was a really cool moment.
Preferably, I wouldn't have had it spoiled for me on YouTube.
Yeah, I think because the amount of spoiler videos I've watched for Doctor Strange in the last couple of months, I every single one that had anything to do with cameos for the film, it was very much, and John Krasinski's going to be in it as Mr. Fantastic, but he's going to die, so don't get your hopes up.
Yeah.
which he dies, so don't get your hopes up. He gets turned into a cheese string.
Literally. Delicious, by the way.
I did... So, there's two things with Mr. Fantastic in this film that I really enjoy. First one, when Doctor Strange meets him for the first time, and...
Oh, yes.
He and Mordo talks about the Fantastic Four, and Strange goes, Fantastic Four, didn't you guys top the charts in the 60s?
Implying that the way that they're going to introduce them in the MCU is have them in the 60s. This is what Peyton Reed wanted to do as well, but reports have said like Kevin Feige didn't want that to happen, but it looks like maybe now that is what's happening.
It wouldn't surprise me. I do think that we're going to get our first look at the Fantastic Four in Quantumania. It makes so much sense. It makes almost too much sense. I do think that Hank Pym knew them back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And they went into... They ultimately ended up in the quantum realm, where they got their powers, and then they're going to resurface in the modern day. I do think that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. In the quantum realm is just going to be like the negative zone.
Yeah.
That's all it's going to be.
Or maybe there'll be in a version of the quantum realm that is the negative zone.
Or maybe it's like a deeper level of the quantum realm that they can't escape. Maybe they're in like one of those time vortexes that Michelle Pfeiffer was on about in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
But the only thing that they're going to have to get around is why haven't they aged? Because if Michelle Pfeiffer aged...
Maybe they're like... Well, because it's like, in Endgame, Ant-Man was only in the quantum realm for like 5 hours, but he went forward in time 5 years. So maybe it's something like they've been in the quantum realm for like a year, maybe.
But in real life,
they're
it's been
spat
60
out in,
years.
Yeah, but they're spat out in like 2025.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, that would be... I can see that happening.
Yeah. But I also really like that they kind of mention... They don't name her, but they say like Sue Storm is a part of the universe.
Yes, that was the second thing where Reed faces off against Wanda, and he tells her like, I've got children, I understand what you're going through, and which I do think that the handling of Wanda in this film is... You can very much tell that there was not a woman present when this screenplay was being written, because I don't think that... when it's complicated female stories like this, I think that men are not the right people to write them, because ultimately what can end up happening is that you are... you're leaning into tropes of mad women that are very harmful. And we've moved past that. We've come beyond that, and I think that ultimately what needed to have happened is a lot of Wanda's scenes, especially during the second act of the film, when she is dream walking in Earth 8388, Wanda's body. It's very obvious that a man wrote it, because it's almost like his person. So Michael Waldron, who wrote the screenplay, it's almost like you can tell that his personal motto for Wanda through this film was "Hell hath no scory like a woman scorned," and Wanda, yes, of course, is a woman scorned, but she is not crazy. She's not mad in the same way that she's being represented in this film, and the way that she's being presented. And I do have an issue with it. I do think that all of that plot was not handled in the right way, and maybe that is how a woman would behave in that situation, and me as a man, I'm not going to understand that.
Neither of us understand.
Neither of us understand what that could be like. But say if I were a parent and I wanted to get to my children, I wouldn't be prepared to kill to do it. So I don't know, but
I'm not sure if Mum feels the same way about us that Wanda feels the same way about Billy and Tommy.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, I hope she would be, but likely not. So, Professor X, is he the X-Men 97 version? Is he that exact same version? Or is he like a variant of that character? Because you see the yellow chair, and you see like the effects coming off of his head when he's using his powers.
I mean, when you say X-Men 97, do you mean the 90s?
Yeah, I
animated
mean
show?
like the cartoon, yeah.
Right. Because obviously it remains to be seen if X-Men 97 is going to be anything similar to...
Yeah.
I mean, they've said it's a reboot, but it will be incredibly different in my imagination. Yeah, I the only... There's two things that make it obvious that it is. It's obviously the hover chair, and the little musical cue that comes in is is as soon as he appears on screen, it's like, oh, okay, well it is. That makes so much sense. Makes too much sense. So
He also looks really uncomfortable in that chair. Patrick Stewart.
I just thought he looked a bit thin.
Yeah. Hope he's doing alright.
Yeah, sending you
Bless
love,
him.
Patrick.
Yeah. God bless. But, yeah. We've kind of gone on about that whole Illuminati lineup for like the past 10 minutes. So what came next after? Because the fight
Well,
happens.
after that, so the fight happens. We need to go back because, so America and, I was almost going to say Wong. America and Strange wake up inside the Illuminati facility. This is where they meet 838 Christine, who is
who they are both wildly attracted to.
Well, obviously, it's Rachel McAdams.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so they meet Christine, who is the head researcher with the Baxter Foundation. I think that's, Baxter Foundation.
Yeah.
Was what it was called. And this... So then Mordo takes Strange to meet the Illuminati. They have their whole thing. And when Strange is taken out of the prison cell to the Illuminati, he says to Christine, "Don't let anybody hurt the kid," referring to America, obviously.
No.
Then, smash cut to Wanda and Wong back at Kamatage. Wanda... this is where the Darkhold gets destroyed by... I can't think of the woman's name, but obviously somebody that Wong had a friendship with.
Yes. But also, Wong kind of fucks everything up, doesn't he? Because he's supposed to be Sorcerer Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
The Sorcerer Supreme would not be like, oh yeah, by the way, the Darkhold is a copy. I feel like that just happened to make the plot happen.
Well, obviously, yeah, of course, but it's the only reason that he would do that. I think the character that we know Wong to be is very caring and is very...
Yeah.
You know, in the first Doctor Strange, he doesn't necessarily have much personality, but he ultimately does become a very caring character.
He does.
He's very caring,
he does like
he's very
Beyonce,
considerate. And he's a huge Beyonce fan, so nothing but respect for my king, for my Sorcerer Supreme. And...
my Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah. So... What happened? Yeah, so then...
The fight where the Illuminati come down, Wanda has destroyed like the Ultron Sentry bots, and Black Bolt's head just pops, which was shocking.
Yeah, but how... You keep jumping forward too
I'm
far.
sorry.
So, Wanda and Wong then head to...
Thanks for giving structure.
Mount Wundagore, which is... Wong reveals to Wanda that the Darkhold is a copy, so he takes her to Mount Wundagore. And they do the very typical thing where they land 100 miles away from it and they're just looking, staring up at it. And another of my favourite lines from Wanda, because she is so fed up with just the cliche shit in this film, she looks at Wong where they are miles away from this goddamn temple, and she looks at him and just goes, "You couldn't have teleported us there?"
Wait, did she say that?
Yeah.
Oh,
she looks at him and she just goes, "Why couldn't you take us there?" So she flies them there, look, and drags Wong with her. They get to Wundagore Mountain, walk around, and she realizes, and Wong tells Wanda all about the history of the Darkhold and of Chthon, and it's Chthon actually gets a name dropped in it, which I was surprised about.
I didn't catch that until the second time.
Yeah, and so basically, the walls of this decrepit temple on the top of this mountain are just covered in Darkhold imagery and clear spells and a lot of spooky, witchy stuff. Wanda lights some fires, which is where you get the reveal of the temple monsters. And they bow to Wanda.
Yeah.
They bow to her, which is where she realised this isn't a tomb. This is a throne. This is my throne.
It's like the prophecy of the Scarlet Witch has finally come like full circle.
Yeah.
And she's finally like where she was supposed to be all this time. Good for her.
Finally. Yeah, good for you, Wanda. I've just got to say, that's something to do with Wanda. Like, I love Elizabeth Olsen as this character, and I love Elizabeth Olsen anyway, but as this character, I think she's fantastic. Like, she's one of those, I put her in that category with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Could not imagine another actor playing Wanda.
No.
Couldn't imagine it. Like, Professor X as... Patrick Stewart as Professor X, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yeah. They're going to have to be
McKellen
replaced at some point, but it's just those are the definitive...
Yeah,
like actors to play those characters.
I just think Elizabeth Olsen has brought so much to this role in everything that she's been in. Bit shaky in Age of Ultron, but I'll forgive her.
What's that first time?
Yeah.
Not her first time acting, but it was, or at least I assume so.
First time playing, like actually playing Wanda, because obviously she appears in the post-credits of Winter Soldier, but what happens? Oh yeah, so this is then when Wanda dreamwalks as one of the Wandas as Wanda from Earth 838. She storms the Illuminati headquarters, and this is where we get our good fight scene between Wanda and the Illuminati. She kills Black Bolt and Mr. Fantastic without breaking a sweat.
Black Bolt does like the stupidest thing ever, screams and explodes his own brain, which is like the most horrifying thing that I could have ever thought to have seen in the MCU.
It was a pretty intense thing.
It's shocking, to say the least. And Mr. Fantastic kind of goes out like a bitch. He didn't even try.
Yeah, he didn't. And that was, again, an interesting decision.
I would have liked to see a bit more of a fight scene with, like, say Wanda kills Black Bolt and then they're all like, oh shit. And then they kind of jump into action. I would have really liked to see, just in case John Krasinski isn't playing Mr. Fantastic in the MCU, just to see him in a fight scene.
Yeah, that would have been cool. But again, I think for these cameos, the cameos that they do have, you can tell it was a very much, guys, could you come in for a week?
Yeah.
Could you, we just need you for, maybe not even that. It was maybe, guys, could you come in for 2 days? John, we need you for 2 days.
John, meet me in my office. We need to talk about something.
Like, Hayley Atwell will probably have been there more than a few days.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if Lashana Lynch was there more than a day. Same goes for John Krasinski. He doesn't do anything. He just kind of appears and then dies.
Yeah.
So, moment of silence for John.
Yeah. Rest in pieces, quite literally. And yeah, Strange and Mordo kind of at the same time are having a bit of a fight. But then after they kind of drop down the little trench, they have like a trench in like the courtroom. They fall down there, they have another little fight, and then he just leaves.
Yeah, and Strange just leaves.
Strange leaves him, catches up with America Chavez and Christine, and Wong is not there anymore. And the dream-walking Wanda that's in like the other Wanda's body kind of starts chasing them through the Illuminati headquarters, and it's revealed that Strange had built like a pathway to the Book of Vishanti.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Good for Strange.
But the only way that they can open the door is with the watch that Strange got from Christine. Now, this is something...
Yeah.
The events of each multiverse, I'm guessing, will always play out differently. I'm sure there are some things that are... This absolutely is always going to happen in each universe. I'm guessing maybe the Thanos level threat is always going to happen in each individual universe because it is such a critical moment. But Christine giving Doctor Strange a watch?
Is that like an I mean, it was said that in What If, or at least one specific universe, that Christine's death is like an absolute point in time. So was Christine giving Strange a watch an absolute point in time in every universe? Because that would mean that Defender Strange, or
but even
whoever
so,
was in that
the watch being smashed in the same way.
Yeah, well, I suppose that didn't really matter because it was only just a watch shape. Couldn't have even been a watch. Maybe it was just like could have been something else.
It could have been, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it clearly wasn't. It's watch shaped.
Yeah. So then they find the Book of Vishanti. Wanda obviously catches up with them and steals America. Wanda then destroys the Book of Vishanti. So we never get to find out what the Book of Vishanti actually does.
It's a MacGuffin. The biggest kind of loose end in this film. It's like all throughout the film they're looking for it, and or like Doctor Strange in America are looking for it, because it's said that the power of the Book of Vishanti has the power to kind of rival that of the Darkhold. It's kind of like the good version of that book. Sorry, my phone blown up at the moment. Too popular. And yeah, Wanda just destroys it because she can.
Yeah.
And after that, what happens? They send Doctor Strange and Christine to just like the most dilapidated universe that's going under this insurgent. What I forgot. Incursion. That's kind of currently going through an incursion, and like the only person left is Doctor Strange. And there's also like this red line that's just kind of running through the city. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be.
I don't know. I don't know that it's significant enough to matter. It's just kind of there.
Maybe it's just something that I do not know about that's in the comics somewhere. It's a strong possibility, but surely it's got to have some kind of significance.
Maybe not.
Nothing.
They didn't draw enough attention to it for it to be something that mattered. Like it wasn't like Stephen or what the fuck have I forgotten the name? Christine, that's it. It's not like Stephen or Christine ever look at it and go, "What the fuck is that? What's that red line?"
It's the Flash, Lewis. It's Barry Allen.
It's Ezra Miller on their way to beat down Christine.
Yeah, Ezra Miller destroying an entire universe.
It would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. First Hawaii, then the universe. Right,
well, if Lilo and Stitch taught us anything...
Yeah, Ohana means family, Lewis.
No, first Hawaii, then the universe.
Oh, right. Yeah, what happens... What happens then?
I'm trying to think what Wanda's up to at this time. Oh, yes, Wanda kidnaps America.
Yeah.
So Wanda kidnaps America and
takes her back to a ritual table.
Takes her back to a ritual table and tries to
absorb her powers in the
Absorb
slowest
her
way
powers.
possible to allow Strange time to fight himself.
So then Strange fights Sinister Strange. They fight... So Christine and Strange find this universe's Sanctorum, and Strange fights Sinister Strange, which was a pretty cool fight because
With the music notes.
with the music notes fight.
There's some like classical music in there. There's like Mozart and Beethoven playing as like the little music icons go and hit the walls and hit each other.
And like weirdly, it reminded me of the bank fight from Spider-Man 2. Not for any particular visual reasons, but because the fights that Sam Raimi is able to direct are so creative and so inventive and so original, and just in a way that we've not seen a fight that happens with music notes. Never seen that. We'll never see that again. That was such a cool scene, and it just really reminded me of other Sam Raimi fight scenes of the sort. So yeah,
it certainly was just like a spectacular. Like nothing like that has happened in one of these Marvel films before, where it is just like two wizards just kind of going at each other using like, because it's the same person.
Yeah.
I'm chatting on my arse. I don't know what I'm talking about because that has happened in like all of the 50 films that the MCU's kind of
28.
Fucking hell. I feel old. But yeah, Strange's third eye. What does like the Sinister Strange? What does that mean?
Well, it just means that he's been fucking around with the Darkhold.
Yeah.
That's all it means. It's...
Yeah, we'll get on to that a little bit later because of like the final scene. So what point were we at again? It was so after the fight with Sinister Strange, and he's not the one from What If, I don't think. He gets impaled because music throws him out the window. And then we kind of go back to see what Wanda, America, and Wong are doing. And they're just kind of waiting around for Strange to get there. It feels...
Well, they're not doing that. I think Wanda's... I've seen it twice and I cannot remember what happens. I guess this is the least memorable part of it, but...
Yeah, I think... No, the point that happens after that is... Strange uses the Darkhold that used to belong to Sinister Strange. He uses that to dreamwalk into the Defender Strange that was buried at the start of the film.
So this is how we get Zombie Strange.
Yes, which is like the coolest character design.
It was really cool.
It was so cool. Like the way all of like the demons are flying out. I did think it was quite cheesy, but of course it's like Sam Raimi, where the camera's like right in the person's face, like Rachel McAdams' face, and you can tell like she's holding onto the sides of it and just like wiggling it about. And just like screaming.
Yeah. That's something that can be said about this film, like getting off topic a bit, but the camera work of this film is so distinctively Sam Raimi and it's so impressive, and that's something like part of the criticism that I've seen of this film is that it's like, it doesn't feel like an MCU film. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, did we forget that films are supposed to have personality?
Yeah. Not every film...
Things are supposed to be distinct, and things are supposed to have individuality, and they're supposed to have the voice of a singular director imbued in the DNA of these films, and they're just not. The only other film that's got this much, I don't know, kind of style to it, or the only other ones, I would say Joss Whedon's Avengers, the first one, and the first Guardians.
Yeah. All of the rest of them just follow a formula.
Yeah.
especially from Guardians onwards, that is the point where they kind of start realising we should make jokes every 5 seconds. And that's kind of present from... I feel like they've kind of gotten a little bit better with it, where they kind of pick and choose the moments, and they kind of use it in a more appropriate... They kind of use the humour in a more appropriate way, instead of being in the middle of a battle and just being like, look at this, a Ridley toot toot.
Yeah, I get that. I do want to add Chloe Zhao's Eternals to my list of distinctive MCU films. Love or hate Eternals, I personally love it.
It's got a great visual style.
But Chloe Zhao is she's so talented. She's incredible. I do think she brings a lot of her visual flair to Eternals, which I really respect. I think Kevin Feige learning what cinematography is will really impact the way that we view cinema.
Yeah.
So, good for her.
But yes, as Zombie Strange is kind of going to Mount Wundagore. He's kind of using the souls of the damned as his cloak of levitation, and like kind of using that as his power, which kind of would explain why he's kind of becoming a bit corrupt towards the end of the film. And then he, Wong's like, oh, Strange, there he is, the boy.
Mm.
And then there's what's so stupid, and I'm not sure if we had this conversation on the way back from our first viewing. America Chavez didn't think to kick or punch to use her powers. Not once did that ever happen just accidentally.
So it made more sense this time. So obviously, at the start of the film, she makes a point of saying, I can't control my powers. I don't understand how they work. All I know is what I can do, but I don't know how to do it. The only time that it's shown that she can use them are in situations that are so terrifying or stressful that the fear that induces and the desire to be anywhere else creates a portal to another universe, which makes a lot of sense. Now, when Wanda is after her inside the Illuminati headquarters, and Wanda's pursuing America and goes into the holding cell where America is, and Christine can't break the glass. She can't open it up because Wanda's fucking with the computer systems. She can't break it with the fire extinguisher that she's trying to do. So America tries to punch it open, and this is where she realises, oh,
oh fuck!
This is how I get it now. So all she has to do is, I guess, believe that she can do it and punch.
But I mean, she's a teenage girl, and she kind of figured out these powers when she was quite young. I'd say probably maybe she's only like 6 or 7 years old, and she's like 13 or something. She never once in those 7 years decided to just punch anything.
Well, she probably did, but that's not what the power is. That maybe
it's just like a thought thing where it's like, I'm gonna just do a normal punch, or I'm gonna do like a universal opening a multiverse portal punch.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that I don't think it is explained as good as it could be. I'm sure you probably feel a little bit different about it because you're kind of, what good writing is.
Yes.
But yeah, there's that fight, and we get to that point in the story where America Chavez takes Wanda to that universe with that she kind of dreamwalked into the other Wanda body with, and her kids that she's spent like the entire film trying to look for and hunt down, and be with. They see her as like this monster, and they can't stand the sight of her. And I feel like that is the only way they could have wrapped up that story, with Wanda just kind of accepting that she maybe has gone about it the wrong way, because she has not kind of had that approval from her kids. Like, she hasn't thought about from the other point of view. She's only thought about it like what she wants, and it's just, I think it was really good how that was done. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, like, the end of it didn't really make me feel anything. I think I wanted something more emotional to happen. Something more, engaging, because I think just the kids being scared of Wanda is one thing, but I think there almost needed to be, I'm gonna say it, Vision needed to be in this.
Yes.
And Vision is not in this film at any point. He's mentioned once, and the only time he's mentioned is in the trailer. Is the clip of that is in the trailer. So what I think needed to have happen is whichever universe's version of Vision needed to appear and stop Wanda. I don't think the kids being scared of her is enough. I think possibly Vision needed to be scared of her as well.
Mm.
And for it to be like she's so far gone, this is not the same person that we recognise or that we know.
Maybe Vision, the alternate version of Vision, kind of tries to talk her out of it, and then she's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, like, I think that was something that probably could have been included. I just think that obviously it's one thing for Wanda to want her children, but and they don't need to explain why she wants her children. That's a given, but they do nothing to establish, well, how does she feel that Vision's not here?
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing for her kids not to be here, but what about Vision? Because that is the whole reason that WandaVision exists. And that's the catalyst that begins the plot of WandaVision. So why is there no fleeting reference to Vision? When realistically there probably should be. I don't know. But yeah, so that happens. Wanda and America leave that universe. And then America and Wong leave.
They train. They've started to train and like rebuild Kamatage. And you were going to say something?
Yeah, you're jumping ahead.
I thought that was it. I thought that was
Wanda then destroys the mountain.
Oh fuck!
And it collapses on top of her.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah. And she ends up destroying the Darkhold in every universe, and we know this because Strange and Christine are still in that kind of melting universe, and that version of the Darkhold disappears.
Yeah. So, good for Wanda.
Yes. Do you think Wanda is alive?
Of course she is.
Yeah. Because Elizabeth Olsen has signed on for 7 more years, has she not?
Well, that's not confirmed, but it was leaked.
It's likely.
I would be shocked if they would kill off a fan favourite character like this in such an unceremonious way. Because realistically, the only female characters that they've killed off it's been done pretty unceremoniously. I'm not counting Gamora because she's going to be in Guardians 3,
yeah.
But Black Widow is a pretty unceremonious death for a character that's been in these films was in those films for 10 years.
Literally since Iron Man 2, the third film.
Yeah. So it was pretty much a slap in the face to to Black Widow for her to just die like that. Obviously, the meaning behind her death is one thing, but the actual death itself was pretty much, and we're just going to throw her off a cliff.
It's a suicide competition.
Yeah. But for Wanda to kill herself by having the Darkhold Temple fall on top of her just doesn't sit right. But obviously, even so, there is that there's that flash of red as it's falling down on her. So is that her
transporting
somewhere?
Or...
Can she do that?
I was thinking, and I said this on the way back, I think that maybe the next time we see Wanda it'll either be in like Agatha House of Harkness, and it's going to be revealed that it might have been like Agatha that saved her, although she is still under the assumption that she's just like a regular person. Or it's Magneto, and we'll get that kind of clarification that it might have been her dad, although in WandaVision it might have been said that Magneto is not her dad. So I honestly don't know what to make of it. But for definite Wanda is alive and out there somewhere.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt Wanda's absolutely alive.
But then there's the question of when will we next see Wanda? Like, what project will it be? Will it be Avengers? Will it be Children's Crusade? Will it be X-Men? Will it be, her own Scarlet Witch film?
Who knows?
Hmm.
But I don't think we'll see her for a while.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's to me, it kind of feels like Elizabeth Olsen has asked to have like 2 years off.
Yeah, I could see that. She has. I mean, they were filming WandaVision during COVID, so it's not like she's really had any time off in the last year.
Yeah, because they went like straight from Infinity War Endgame, like as soon as that came out, then they started WandaVision. That came out. They started Doctor Strange. Now that's out. So the woman's been working non-stop, probably for the last like 3 years.
Yeah, give her a break.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's very emotionally taxing to play a woman in the throes of grief.
Do you want to continue the plot?
Yeah, so America is being trained at Kamatage to become a sorcerer. Good for her. I'm sure we'll be seeing lots of America in the future, which is great because Xochitl Gomez, who plays her, was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. It's so weird to think she was like 14 when they filmed this.
14 or 15, yeah. Which is crazy. You would never have thought that.
Have you lost your...
No.
Oh. But yeah, that's absolutely... It's just mental. Like, she'll be in Young Avengers, because obviously they're setting that up now. But, obviously we don't have Billy and Tommy anymore. Wiccan and Speed,
yes.
Unless they want to do a Young Avengers film without those two.
Young Avengers series, I keep saying. They're not doing a Young Avengers film.
They won't do it as a film. I'll say film just because it's... I've just been saying, like, Loki's a film. I've just said, like, Loki's my favourite MCU film. It's not, but... just as an example. But yeah, America is being trained at Kamatage, and Strange and Wong are kind of having this conversation about what do they do next, what should Kamatage be, and America goes up to catch up with Strange, and kind of says, like, she says, I like that this is the universe that I just so happened to land in.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange, he opens a portal, walks through, he's back at the Sanctum Sanctorum, and I can't remember if it's like the same scene or if it's
different scene,
like a different day. That ends the film. He's
He
fixed
walks out
his
of the,
watch.
Yeah, he fixes the watch. He walks out of the sanctum. He's walking down the street, and suddenly, pain, terrible pain. The score swells. Doctor Strange falls to the floor, nearly hit by a car, and then his third eye opens.
Yeah. What does that... Again, I said that we'd come back to this. The third eye is... Because obviously Wanda destroyed all the Darkhold. All the Darkholds in, like, every universe. The third eye is a replacement for the Darkhold.
Well, it's not a replacement for the Darkhold.
Or like, it's a substitute.
The third eye, it's not a substitute. The third eye is something that happens... It's almost a punishment.
Oh, right.
For it. The third eye, it's established in the film that you get the third eye if you are a sorcerer that fucks around with the Darkhold.
Mm.
Wanda doesn't get it because she's not a sorcerer, she's a witch.
Right.
Doctor Strange gets it because he's a sorcerer.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I was being stupid, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you think about that? The ending?
Have you ever seen Drag Me to Hell?
I know the ending of it, yeah.
My favourite Sam Raimi films are the ones that just end.
Yeah.
Like...
Where it's like, oh, this is happy. What the fuck? Like that kind of...
One of my least favourite endings of all of the Marvel films, and I'm not talking about what happens at the climax, what's the dramatic conclusion, the dramatic resolution of the plot. I'm talking about the closing frames and just those closing seconds. My least favourite is the first Doctor Strange, because it just ends with him looking out of the window at the sanctum.
Oh, yeah.
It's really...
It's visually unappealing.
And then it pans out and you just see the sanctum. It's like, what are you trying to tell me through this shot right now?
Mm.
It doesn't make any sense. These are strong words for a film that's been out for 24 hours, but this was one of my favourites because it was so different to anything Marvel's done as the closing seconds of one of their films before. Like, I would almost say that this is like akin to Infinity War's ending, where it's like, holy shit.
Mm.
Obviously,
I wouldn't say it's as
for different emotional reasons, but
yeah.
You know, in terms of like what you feel as soon as it happens, it's like, oh my god, I can't believe that's just happened.
Mm.
That's so cool.
It's absolutely mental, yeah. And the post-credit scene,
the first one,
yes.
So finally, Charlize Theron as Clea. We love to see it.
Yep.
We've been waiting for it.
You wanted her to be Madam Web?
Well, I really wanted Charlize Theron to be cast as Madam Web. It just made sense to me. I will accept Charlize Theron as a badass sorcerer woman. I couldn't ask for anything more in this life.
Mm-hmm. And she essentially jumps Doctor Strange and she says, you caused an incursion by using the... Am I saying...
You caused an incursion, you're coming with me.
Yeah, you're coming with me.
You're going to help me fix it.
Whatever that incursion is in whatever universe, she does open a portal to the Dark Dimension. So whether Dormammu is going to come back...
she's the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Dimension, Clea is.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they head there first so that... Because isn't... Excuse me if I'm wrong, but isn't Clea Dormammu's sister?
I don't know.
Well, there's, like... I remember hearing ages ago, Clea's got something to do with Dormammu.
Let's just say for the sake of this that she is Dormammu's sister. What kind of implication does that hold?
Well, I don't know, but I do know that Clea and Doctor Strange do get married at some point, so I'm guessing that would be a pretty awkward brothers-in-law.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
scenario.
your brother-in-law wants to murder my entire universe.
Yeah. Not an ideal situation, but...
Bit of a love-hate relationship in the family there.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that will goes down, and then we go into the credits, and then the final post-credit scene. We need to talk about Bruce Campbell.
Yes. God bless Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell is in this. Obviously, it's a Sam Raimi film. It wouldn't be a Sam Raimi film without a Bruce Campbell cameo. He plays Pizza Popper Guy.
Pizza Popper Guy.
Pizza Popper Guy.
Yeah.
And what I really love most about this is the whole... So, in Earth 838, America steals some pizza balls from a street vendor called Pizza Popper Guy, and it's Bruce Campbell. Now, have you ever seen Evil Dead?
I've seen bits of it,
2.
yeah.
Evil Dead 2 specifically.
Oh, where he's like...
So,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Evil Dead 2 is the one where he saws his hand off because it's cursed. So, and it's like got a mind of its own.
And it's like punching him in the face.
And it's punching him in the face, and it's doing all sorts of things that Ash wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
So, Bruce Campbell... Ash obviously cuts his hand off and attaches the chainsaw to it, and he's got the chainsaw for a hand. Love Evil Dead 2.
I've never seen it, actually.
Really good. So what I really like that is it's just a callback to that whole thing with Evil Dead 2 where Doctor Strange enchants or bewitches or whatever Pizza Popper Guy's hand, and he's just punching himself in the face from all angles and attacking himself, and it's just a reference to that, and I just think that was really cool.
It's funny and it's a reference, but thinking about it, they stole from his pizza popper stand, his pizza ball stand. He kindly asked if they could pay, and Doctor Strange said no. Now you have to beat yourself up for 3 weeks.
Well, it sounds pretty bad when you put it like that.
I can't stop thinking about it. It's so mean.
It is.
It's so mean-spirited.
But that's part of the beauty of it.
Yeah. But yeah. We haven't actually talked about the post-credit scene. The second one. We've set up for the post-credit scene.
Well, the second post-credit scene...
It's amazing, by the way.
Bruce Campbell is still punching himself in the face.
3 weeks later.
And then it ends. He stops punching himself in the face, and he's so delighted that he looks into the camera and says, "It's over."
Like
and then
the film.
Cut to black.
Yeah. Which is... It's just brilliant.
Wait, yeah. It's like the only other two final post-credit scenes that are that good. Spider-Man: Homecoming,
where it's Captain America.
Chris Evans is like, and all you've done is wait.
And what did you get for it? Or something.
Sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes, whatever it is. And the other one being Deadpool, the first Deadpool, where he's like, oh yeah, and it's over. Yeah. Go home.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's the setup for the second film, because they already knew that they were going to get a second one before it even came out.
What is it? Oh god, what? Cable's going to be in the next one. Who knows who we're going to get to play Cable? Maybe Keira Knightley. She's got range.
Although Keira Knightley Cable, I would have quite liked to see that.
I would like to see Keira Knightley join the MCU.
Yeah. Who do you think she'd be?
I don't know.
Khonshu. In season 2, replace
who should be
F. Murray Abraham.
You know who should be Khonshu? Maggie Smith.
No. She's Galactus.
No, I keep saying Meryl Streep as Galactus.
Mm-hmm. Well, really, on a serious note, it should be Bryan Cranston.
It will be Bryan Cranston, of course it will be.
Let's say, though, Bryan Cranston is not a person that is on the table. Who would kind of your fan cast for Galactus be? Because you know kind of a bit more about actors.
Well, it would need to be someone with a pretty deep voice, but also the Marvel trend in terms of villains is they cast really well known, really famous actors that don't want to sign big contracts but do want to be a part of this world. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got somebody like... I don't know, actually. Kind of lost my train of thought.
Kind of a pretty open, broad question.
It's a pretty broad thing. Maybe like a John Travolta?
John Travolta Galactus would be fantastic.
That'd be pretty cool. Bob Odenkirk?
Speaking of fantastic, when do you think, or what do you think they're going to do with the Fantastic Four?
Well, I mean, we kind of covered it. I think they're going to be referenced very heavily in Quantumania towards the end of the third act. I think it's going to be revealed that in the 60s, Hank Pym had 4 friends that went into the quantum realm and never came out. I think the post-credit scene of... The second post-credit scene of Quantumania will introduce the Fantastic Four for the first time.
It will just, like, spit them out and they'll be like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I always like to kind of give things numeric scores. I know it's maybe not the best way to review a film, and we've just spent like an hour and a half talking about it. What would you give out of 10?
A 7.
Yeah. I'd say my first time I'd probably give it about a 6. And then seeing it again, about 8. Like No Way Home, yeah. I think I probably wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10. Like 9.5 out of 10.
The only
Again,
Marvel
it's quite
film
a broad thing
that I would give a genuine 10 out of 10 is Infinity War.
Yeah.
Like, I still can't believe how good Infinity War was. And is.
It's such a perfect film. So how do we close this off? Any final remarks?
Bush did 9/11. Oh, relating to Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Doctor Strange will return.
Yeah, I suppose so.
In Doctor Strange 3. With Charlize Theron as Clea. So... I got everything I could ever want for in this life. Yeah.
The end.